You're listening to The Higher Ed Marketer, the podcast for marketing professionals in higher education. Join us every week as we talk to the industry's greatest minds in student recruitment, donor relations, marketing trends, new technologies, and much more. If you're looking for conversations centered around where marketing in higher ed is going, this podcast is for you. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Higher Ed Marketer Podcast. My name is Troy Singer with Ring Digital, here with my good friend and co-host of this longtime podcast, Bart Kaler. Today, we are both excited for you to hear the conversation that we just had with Tracey Harrison. She is the Vice President of Communication and Brand Marketing at Biola University, just outside of Los Angeles. Tracey brings more than 25 years experience in Christian higher education across branding, storytelling, magazine publishing, visual design, campus communications, and public relations. And before joining Biola in 2024, she served at Mississippi College, where she oversaw Beacon Magazine, which received multiple national awards for excellence in design and content.
Yeah, she's at Biola now, and she's kind of bringing this new energy to campus through storytelling and a concept she calls eventful branding, which is what we talk about today. And man, I am so excited to share this conversation because just the idea of eventful branding is really transforming their traditional campus events into these immersive brand experiences that really are helping students to feel the brand as opposed to just maybe hearing it or seeing it. And so she's going to share how these events can do more than just inform or entertain, how they can really become living stories that to help your brand be believable. And I just think it's such a great conversation.
Tracey, thank you so much for accepting our invite to be on the Higher Ed Marketer Podcast. And of course, we always start out our conversations by asking, what's something interesting or maybe even surprising that you've learned recently that our audience might find meaningful or fun?
Well, I was saving this for this opening moment, but something that I've discovered recently is how much I love podcasts. Oh. And I know that's probably sounds really surprising because I'm on a podcast, but this is my first appearance on a podcast. And so I'll explain that just a little bit. So I've lived in the South my entire life. Moved here from Mississippi almost 2 years ago. And my commute in Mississippi was literally 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes it took me to get to the university where I worked. And so there was not a time where I thought, I'm going to learn something and listen to a podcast. But in California, Southern California, where I live now, depending on traffic, it takes 30 to 45 minutes to get to Biola University, where I work. And so I discovered a podcast, and Bart, you were on our campus a couple of months ago. He mentioned, I have this podcast, Higher Ed Marketer. You should check it out. And I have. I've been listening to it.
That's great.
And so, yes. So you should know you're like celebrities to me. Like, this is such an honor for me. And literally, when I pull up on campus, park, get out of my car, I'm like thinking to myself, let's go. Like, I am literally so pumped up for the day because that theme music that you play on the intro to the podcast is fabulous. I really love it. So I am such a fan of the show and of both of you, and really honored to be your guest today. So thank you.
Well, thank you. That's such a great thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for the kind words. And you are going to be a celebrity too after we go through the conversation that we are going to go through.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that everyone knows that you have introduced the idea of eventful branding, which is a concept that positions events not just as logistical undertakings, but as immersive expressions of a university's identity. So could you please unpack that concept for us, and where did it come from, and how are you applying it at Biola?
Well, I have to be honest, the phrase came from our good friend Chat, GPT. The idea originated with me. So I packed together a definition. Chat did not give me this. But eventful branding is about creating memorable experiences that tell your institution stories through moments people can feel, not read about. And so when I was thinking about what could I share that could add value to other higher ed marketers, something that Biola does so well is eventful branding. And I've experienced that in the 2 years that I've been here. And so I thought, I'll share the good things that they've already been doing here. So the idea came to me my first visit to campus. And so when I stepped onto this campus, I had never been here before, did not know anyone at Biola. I knew someone in Southern California, but no one at Biola. And when I stepped onto this campus, I had never experienced before the connection and community of such truly loving individuals. And Bart, you've been here before.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've experienced that as well. But that moment stuck with me. And ever since I experienced that, I want others to experience too. Like most universities, how you get people to fall in love with your university is to get them on your campus so they can experience that same feeling. And then my second thought of this idea came because during my first year here, I made a commitment that I wanted to attend every university event that I possibly could. And we're talking hundreds. And I did. I don't know how, but I did that first year. And I started wondering, how could Biola truly share the heart, the character, the faith that defines this community through moments just like this? So that's kind of shaped everything that I've done since arriving at Biola. I have an example of how we did this. And so you may not know this, but Biola University is home to the Snyder School of Cinema and Media Arts. It's the #1 Christian film school in the country. They've also been recognized nationally by The Hollywood Reporter, Rap, Variety. La Mirada, where Biola is located, is 15 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on traffic, to Los Angeles. I mean, literally the entertainment capital of the world, which means our students have front row access to the heart of the industry. And so something really exciting happened during my first year. We had groundbreaking for a new building for this program, thanks to the generosity of Lindsay Snyder. She's the owner and president of In-N-Out Burger. So right out my window, I wish I could show you. The building is going up. I can see it every day, the progress that they're making. It's a $73 million project. And we had a groundbreaking moment in September 2024. And that just happened to be the hottest day ever in California. It was over 100 degrees, and we had an outdoor groundbreaking ceremony planned. And so this is where the idea of eventful branding really, the magic starts to happen. So we have a film and media school that's breaking ground. So how can we make this comfortable and more enjoyable for our guests so they don't have to sit outside in temperatures that, and in California, if it's in the 90s, they think it's terribly hot. So y'all are from the Midwest. No, it's not that hot.
Yeah.
But
add the humidity to that, and then it's really hot. So.
It really is. And so I laugh when I say this, but to them, it was really, really hot. And so we were able to get those cinema media art students to help us and our own events team set up a live feed from the groundbreaking site and have it fed into an air-conditioned auditorium. And it was spectacular. It was like, something you'd see on Good Morning America, where you have, in fact, I was the one on stage connecting us to the VIPs there at the groundbreaking. It was so much fun. And then after the groundbreaking, of course, we had In-N-Out trucks on our campus, and we fed everyone. You love In-N-Out, Troy. I can see you love it. But what made the day truly memorable was our dean, Tom Helene, who is a former executive with AMC. And this is what he said, and I want to read it because I want to get it right. But he said, "How can we provide hope in the most powerful form of communication on the planet if we are not within it?" And to me, that moment captured everything. It wasn't about a building. It was about our role, Biola's role, in shaping culture, telling stories that matter, equipping our students to bring light into the world's most influential industries. And so they didn't just attend the groundbreaking. I'm looking out there because that's where it took place. They just didn't attend the event. They felt our mission in action. And when you can feel the mission and it's just not attending an event, that's what I'm talking about when I say eventful branding.
I love that. And I can tell some of those intentional choices that you made. I mean, there was certainly a big part of hospitality as part of the choices that you made in that story there. And I can also tell that even just being able to put yourself with empathy into the where your guests were. So talk a little bit more about some of those other things that you're intentionally doing to really help make these events more of a storytelling apparatus as opposed to just the logistics.
Yeah, you said it, Bart. Have you heard of this book?
Love
you
that
can't
book.
miss the color, right? It's so
Unreasonable Hospitality for those who are listening.
That's right. So when I got here, my team, everyone on my team, we read that book. And if you haven't read it, to your listeners, I would encourage any marketing and communication team to read it together.
It's required reading as far as I'm concerned for any college.
It is required. I noticed that Will Guidara, the author, just recently was on Oprah Winfrey's podcast, like yesterday or something. Like
wow.
It's starting to have more and more impact, and now he's got a guide that's going to be coming out. Like this was the why, and he has a guide coming out that's going to be the what. Mm-hmm. So we'll definitely be looking into that. But that's who Biola is. That's what I experienced when I arrived on this campus, and that's what I'm trying to bring to our events, is for people to feel like when they're a part of an event, that they're just not being talked to, that they're participating in it, that they're a part of it, that they feel differently because of the experience. And I'll be mentioning this book throughout our conversation because I believe it's that impactful on an organization. It doesn't have to be a restaurant. You know, he uses a restaurant because that's where he worked. But for any organization that wants to show unreasonable hospitality, definitely should read it. I have used this at other presentations and have said that he is teaching me how to bring Southern hospitality to Southern California, because, in the South, I think we're known for being hospitable. And anytime that I talk to groups on campus, I always use that because I do feel like Biola, that's who they are.
Yeah.
That's how they live. It's authentic. It's not something they're pretending to be. We're not pretending to be that way. That's who we are. And you know this part, it's because of our faith.
Yep.
That we're that way. I mean, Jesus Christ was hospitable. Mm-hmm. Before his disciples said they were hungry, he noticed it and he fed them.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus was, and he's still today. He knows our needs before we even speak them. And so we try to do that at events. And I kind of have a list of things that I can share with you if you're interested in kind of the framework of how we do that. And when I'm working with other departments, we talk about this framework, and it helps them understand what we're trying to communicate at these events.
Yeah, and I know before Troy takes it to the next, I think he's going to unpack that with you a little bit. I want to just point out to the listeners real quick. Notice that Tracey said, I want to make sure that we know how people feel when they are at the event. She didn't say we didn't want to make sure that they know something. And I think that's one of the challenges we have as higher ed marketers, is that we're so often trying to figure out, how do we make sure people know something, whether they know something about a deadline coming up or they know about our brand. I think we need to start thinking about, how is this going to make them feel? And I think that's one of the keys for really successful marketing, is when we are starting to understand, how are we tapping in to that emotion? How are we tapping into that feeling that we want to pull people into to be a part of our community, as opposed to just the transactional transfer of information. So I'm sorry for that time out, but I thought that was really important of what you said.
That's great.
Not a problem at all, Bart. And Tracey, as you and a lot of our listeners already know, many schools do silo marketing and event planning, but you've worked to integrate those efforts, and would like to know if you can tell our listeners how you ensure that departments across the campus, whether it's admissions, advancement, or student life, are aligned around a unified story and guest experience.
Well, we have created what we call a brand strategy document. I think I gave you a copy.
I've got my copy back here. I can pull it out if anybody wants to see it.
Document.
It's thick.
It is huge. And now that's actually on our website. So listeners can go to our website and look at our brand strategy document. Within that, we have event guidelines. And so the President's Cabinet all agreed that their areas, we're going to agree to follow these guidelines together. And so we have opportunities to collaborate and partner with other areas on our campus. And we have training opportunities. So one of the training opportunities we have is a group called Communicator Collective. And this is a group of 30 marketers, communicators across campus, across departments, areas, institute centers. And we meet monthly with them. And we take a section of that brand strategy document and we go deep with them. And it's not presented as, here's the rules you have to follow. It's presented as, here's the why. This is why we do the things in the way that we do things. So they understand when they look at that document that we're trying to help them understand the why behind it. And so that's one way we do it. We also train ambassadors every semester on our campus. It's a 4-week training opportunity where they go once a week, and we have different members of our team present and teach about customer service, about hospitality, about how we can partner with you on events. And if you go through that, you get this little pin here. This is the mark on our logo, which you can see here. And they get that. And we want them to wear it proudly. And there's an expectation, of course, there. You've been through that training. And so you can help others do the things that you've learned through that training. So we have those trainings, but then we also, we try to collaborate from the beginning of a project. And, you know, one of the questions that we're always going to ask as communicators is, what story are we trying to tell? And how does this moment, this event that you're thinking that we need on campus, how does that move it forward? And then that becomes the North Star to guide every decision we make with those events. And so one great example that is actually launching on Wednesday of next week. So I don't know when this will air, so I hope I'm not spilling the beans on my team members. But
it'll be after that, but we're good.
It'll be after that. Okay, so this will have already launched. But this is a great example of it. So if you've ever heard of Squishmallows, it's a toy. You should Google it and look it up. 300 million of these toys are sold worldwide. They are a collector's item. And guess who the prime target audience is? Generation Z. 65% of the people that buy these toys are 18 to 24-year-olds. And so I'm so proud of our team. They came up with this idea to create a squish eagle. So our mascot is an eagle, And so they've got different identities of this squishmallow. And Troy, I want to describe it to you. It's like a big, round, soft toy. And it looks like an eagle. And they have branded the different eagles for different personalities on our campus. So we have Original Eddie. So our mascot is Eddie the Eagle. So it looks like a little eagle. We have Original Eddie. We have Athlete Eddie. We have Studious Eddie. We have Surfer Eddie, because a lot of our students surf. And we have Graduate Eddie. And the purpose of this was to bring together student life, advancement, admissions. Let everyone help shape this idea, because they're going to become the true champions for it.
Yeah.
And that ownership, pulling in different areas from the beginning of the project, is what brings the ownership. And they want it to be successful. You can't bring folks in after you've made all the decisions. You need to bring them into the process so they feel like they have some ownership of it and they want it to be successful. And so the whole purpose of this is not for profit, not for revenue, but to surprise and delight our students. You know, our students, like many of your listeners, the students on their campuses, compared to when we were in school, what they have to deal with every day. I don't know how they do it. And for me, for a person of faith, I could not do it without my faith. And so this is an opportunity in an unexpected way to give them a moment of surprise and delight. They didn't have to do anything, and they don't have to pay anything. They just get this cool toy that they love anyway. It becomes a collector's item for them. It gives them an opportunity to say, you know, look what I got, and to talk about it and to share stories about it. And you know what our students will do. They're going to create cute videos and photos about it. And so I'm super excited about this project because it's so student focused and it's fully integrated with the other departments on campus. And it's for no other reason but to love our students. There's no alternative motive. And when you're authentic like that, people see that. Like, we truly care for our students here. And we know it's not easy. It's not easy being a student. And so I'm excited about this. When it launches, now I know alumni are going to see this and they're going to want one. Right. And so after the first year in, we're talking about possibly making Graduate Eddie. So we're going to have a Graduate Eddie with a board hat on, allowing alumni and others to purchase those. So every year we'll come out with a new Eddie, and so it will become a collectible item. But that's just one example of, you know, I know there are silos on campuses. I've experienced that. It's not easy, but it takes time to build relationships and trust across departments. But when it clicks and you can work with other departments, it multiplies and it really creates magic. This is what I like to say. It's like magical when you see an event or campus experience come together when everybody was a part of it. It's so magical. I love it. And everybody shows up aligned, they're energized, they're ready to create. And so those of you out there that are struggling with silos, don't give up. Build those relationships, be patient, and you'll build trust over time.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to point out a couple things that you said, because there's intentionality that Tracey talked about that I think is really important, because this doesn't just happen because you published a brand book. You have to be intentional to convene. You have to have the power of convening those on campus and bringing them along, and not bringing. And I like the fact too that you said we're not presenting a book of rules. We're presenting an opportunity to serve our clients well, to serve those students well. And I love the story of the Squishmallows and the fact that you guys are doing something very creative and very on target and on point with the audience. And I also just really appreciate the fact that you're using those emotional cues to embed into that whole concept of the eventful branding, the idea that, you're looking for ways to surprise and delight. And I know that's just a couple little cues you talked about. I mean, just the empathy, the idea of being able to be hospitable. There's so many emotional cues, and we know that Generation Z and Generation Alpha, and as things are moving toward this back to real movement, I mean, I've got a trend coming out in a couple of weeks ago, a prediction of 2026, and one of the big trends is going to be, as our world becomes saturated with AI and we don't know what's real, people are driven back to real relationships. And that's why campus visits and eventful branding and those things are going to be the new way of really engaging prospective students, because they're going to be craving that human to human type of opportunities. And so the schools that do that well are going to be the ones that really succeed. So this has been a wonderful conversation about eventful branding.
Tracey, earlier in the conversation, you kind of gave us a peek of where you came from. You had talked about, if you didn't say Mississippi, I know that you're from Mississippi in the South, and wanted to point out that you led Beacon Magazine at Mississippi College for 17 years, and it earned national recognition for excellence. What lessons did you learn from telling stories in print that now guide how you create live brand-centered experiences?
Yeah, one of my greatest loves actually was being an editor of the magazine. And coming here to Biola, we have an excellent editor, Jason Newell, who's already here. And he does a wonderful job with the magazine, but I loved being a magazine editor. And you heard me say that earlier. If given the opportunity, I will edit. And so don't give me that opportunity. But, it's very similar how you tell a story in a magazine as you do with an event. They're both powerful storytelling tools. We can reach with the Biola magazine that we do here 95,000 people. We can share that story. And it's not a listing of, we just did one on John Thune, who's one of our graduates. He was on the cover of our magazine. And we didn't do a list of his accomplishments and what he has done. We told his stories. He played basketball here at Biola and met his wife here. And, has come back to campus to serve, to give back. That's what people want to hear about, are the stories behind the person, not necessarily their accomplishments. Now, their accomplishments may get them recognized and put in that position. But a person, I think, an audience, reader or a listener would much rather hear the story of impact the university had on that individual person's life. And so, similar experiences with events is we can certainly have alumni come back and give of their time and their talents and even their treasures sometime. But people want to hear, why did you come to Biola? And what kind of impact did Biola have on your life? I just talked to a graduate yesterday. I'm trying to remember his name, or I would tell you. And he was best friends with Robert Anthony Cruz. If you don't know that name, Robert Anthony Cruz, he's on the Savannah Bananas. Have y'all heard of the Savannah Bananas?
Yes.
He played baseball here at Biola. He's very popular on TikTok.
I follow him on Instagram. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yep.
Coach Rack.
Yep.
They call him
He's
Coach
great.
Rack.
Yep.
He's amazing. He was best friends with the other Biola grad I talked to yesterday. And we did a little piece on Robert Anthony in the magazine this last issue. And his best friend reached out to us and he said, we're doing something called the Sandlot Revival in Savannah. Have you heard of that? And so they are bringing together churches and inviting everyone to come to a revival that him and Coach Rack and other Savannah Bananas are participating in, and it's a time of worship. They usually have a speaker, and it lasts a couple of hours, and people are just flocking to this in Savannah. And so I had the opportunity yesterday to talk to this young man, and he said, we want to bring the event beyond Savannah, and we want to come back home to Biola.
Oh, wow.
To hold a Sandlot revival on campus, back where me and Coach Rack started. And I just wanted to cry. I was so proud. I've never even met these young men, but I was so proud, right, of the impact that their lives are having on the world. It really is a worldwide phenomena. And they want to come back home. They want to come back. So in the spring, during Holy Week, we're talking about having the first Sandlot revival here on our campus, and two of our graduates are part of that. And so, to me, that's the kind of stories people want to hear about. They don't want to hear about just a list of facts and accomplishments. They want to hear how our graduates are having influence and impact on other people's lives. That's why people come to Biola, is because they want to be transformed themselves and then impact the world for Jesus Christ. So I get excited about sharing those stories through events. And we're already talking about how that Sandlot revival here on our campus can reach out to the broader community so others can hear those stories. And that's the kind of eventful branding I want to be a part of. Right. I want to host on our campus. Things that that young people, that non-believers may not even know who Jesus is, but they hear about this event and they're interested in Savannah Bananas, and they're like, I'm going to go check that out. And then they hear the message of Jesus. And that's why I'm in Christian higher education. Right. That's my why, right? Yeah. Is ultimately any marketing, any event branding that we do, it all leads back to the ultimate purpose for my life, which is share the message and love of Jesus Christ. Yeah. And so when I say eventful branding, just that event that just happened yesterday is what gets me excited at Biola.
I think that's great, because I love the fact that you are tying in so many of those emotional arcs into the stories. Even just as you're telling the stories here, you're pulling us in emotionally. And I think that's so important for people to understand, that if you can do that with your events, and you can start pulling those emotional arcs through your events by intentionally planning it out, by intentionally looking for those arcs that can tell those stories. And I love the fact that you're kind of weaving that also into the Biola, the Biola, mission. Yes. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that Biola stands for the Bible Institute of Los Angeles. Yes. And I think that you're leaning into that history, that faith that Biola represents. And I love the fact too that you're doing it in such a way that you're weaving that spiritual distinctiveness into the events, into the storytelling in a very welcoming way. It's not overwhelming. I know sometimes us who are believers kind of want to make sure that we are welcoming and not, because we've got enough of a bad rap in some places to that we're fighting against. And so, but I also love the fact that you're leaning into that storytelling. And I really think that eventful branding, that storytelling part, I mean, Jesus was one of the greatest storytellers ever. If you go back and you read the Gospels, that was who he was. That's what he did. His eventful branding, go and listen to the Sermon on the Mount. That's eventful branding 101 right there. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about that. And so I guess the last part of this section I wanted to ask you is a little bit about, a lot of smaller institutions might be listening. A lot of bigger institutions are listening as well. But sometimes there's limited budgets. So what's one practical strategy that they could use to really impact maybe upcoming events and make it more of that eventful branding that they could do without having to reinvent everything? What's just a couple things that they could kind of tweak to make it really more along the lines of what you're seeing success in?
I understand that so well, because even at the university that I came from, we didn't have a big events team. It was very small. And at Biola, we have a much larger team. We are able to host 5,000 people on our lawn. And so I understand feeling like you're being stretched and you don't have a budget to do things. And so what I would encourage those universities with smaller teams is you don't have to start from scratch. You can pick something you're already doing and create a moment of recognition or something around an already existing event. It could be the first day students come to campus. What is something that you could do to surprise, to delight, an unexpected moment? Maybe it's having a handwritten note in each of their residence halls rooms. Maybe it's the president popping in, which our president, he's a master storyteller.
He's
President
so great.
Barry Corey. I just have to say his name for those of you listening who know him. He's one of the reasons why I came to Biola, is Barry Corey. And every speech, every message that he shares, he is weaving stories throughout the messaging. And he's just masterful at it. And if you have a president like that, a brand ambassador like that, then you should be taking advantage of your president. Maybe it's, after a study night, we do, different nights like pancake night for study breaks, or, we have leaders carve turkey at Thanksgiving. There's something you can do at your university. You don't have to create a new event, that you can add an unforgettable moment to an existing event, minimal cost, and the impacts. The students will remember how you made them feel. I have pictures with students at every Thanksgiving carving that I do. The students love it, and they make these really good yeast rolls. And you hear students talking about those yeast rolls. So when you're creating these moments, you think about, how can I include all of the senses?
Oh, love that.
Right? So taste, food is always a way to win your students' hearts, right? You include food, great music, what they're hearing, what they're experiencing, touch. Every student that comes by, I want to give them a big hug.
Yeah.
And tell them that I love them. And so think about that. How can you use all of the senses to impact your event? The Thanksgiving carving works tremendously. And so if you want to do that for Easter or for Christmas, pick a special meal in the CAF and get the leaders that your students rarely see, get them involved, and let them go love on students by serving them. Yeah. What better experience and students look forward to it every year. And they talk about the president serving turkey or getting those delicious rolls. And so you start with a moment, you make it memorable, and you build it from there. Doesn't have to cost anything.
No, you take advantage of experience. And that, you can get back into the fact that, okay, eventful branding is not only for enrollment, but it's for retention. It's for advancement. It's for everything. It's just to live out your mission. And I love that. That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Tracey, you are so on brand, and you have naturally led us to our final topic that we wanted to talk to you about, and that is the experience of a great first impression. So in the previous example, if you could kind of bring it forward to the campus visit, and that everyone knows that that is so pivotal in the enrollment journey. So what additional advice would you give to schools about transforming a traditional tour or preview day into an immersive and story-rich brand experience?
Right. We make our first impressions in the first 7 seconds. And so one of the things, and I'm so pleased to be able to share this, and it's because of the support of our president, is when you came onto Biola's campus, there was nothing that really said, welcome, or this is Biola. And right when you pull onto our campus, we are redoing that whole entrance, and it's because the president has shared this vision with me, and we're going to be adding some large, 10 feet Biola letters that actually say Biola. We're going to have a celebration plaza there, and it's right by our admissions welcome center. And it's going to be lined into the campus with beautiful palm trees that you already see on our campus, but we're adding more, and they'll be lit up at night. And so that first impression that you get of Biola is welcome. And this is who we are. And so I'm so excited about that. And then they'll make their way to the admissions office. But before even they go to that welcome center, and this is something we did at another university, is you personalize it, right? You do a welcome to Sarah on the sign where they park. Mm-hmm. So Sarah knows, they know who I am. They see me, right? They value me, and I haven't even gotten out of the car. So you present a welcome sign to that individual. If you don't have parking, signs that you can alter, you can put it on the television screen when they enter your welcome center, which we do here at Biola. And so that family knows that we're expecting you. We know who you are. We see you, and we want you to see us today. And for you to decide, right, is this the fit for you? And so I always say start before they arrive, because those first few seconds on the campus is critical, right? First impression, last impression is what we always talk about. And then design for emotion, not just information. You're not just handing out your view book or sending them away with the view book. They always call me down to admissions when there's a Southerner, and I love it. As soon as I know there's someone from the South, I literally race to admissions, and I walk in those doors, and I've got my arms open. I'm like, welcome. Let me tell you why I'm here and why I love Biola. And I don't go through facts. What I actually do, I'll tell you my secret, is we talk about the airport situation in L.A., and I say, what airport did you fly into? And they go, LAX. It's crazy. I don't know why we did it. I said, let me tell you a little secret. There's an airport in Long Beach. And it's like the airport you have in Birmingham or Jackson, Mississippi. And you'll love it. You can get in and out quickly. You can go surface streets. You don't have to get on the freeway. And their eyes just like, I can do this. It's like they just think, I can come to Southern California when they hear my airport story. But that's the connection that our students need. They don't need to hear the name of this building and who gave money towards it. They need to know that in this building, you can learn about tech, and you can be an engineer with an in-depth understanding of theology after you graduate from Biola, because you take 10 theology classes. You literally have a minor, 30 hours. Right. And you can go out into the world and you can be the best engineer, and you can be prepared, right, as a Christian to face the world that we live in. And you just can't. How do you measure that, right? This is what this is who they want to hire, right. Are students who graduate that not only have the skills and knowledge, but the character that they want. The Silicon Valley folks who want to hire our engineering students, they want to hire our students because of the character. Those are the kind of stories when you're taking a tour around our campus that I encourage the admissions team to share, is creating, that emotional connection, and for them to share their personal stories, because, usually students are the ones that do the tours on our campus. They want to hear about you.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Biola? What's your experience been? They want to understand and connect with you. I mean, our admissions ambassadors are the walking brand of the university. And they're going to care about the connection that those students make with our students and family members visiting. It's that important. And so how can you connect the mission of Biola on this campus tour, not just throwing facts at them? Right. And our team does an excellent job of this, because it's just authentic of who we are. And our students, I mean, we have some of the best students. Yeah. We really, I have not met a student where I thought, they're not a good fit. I'm just not. Every student I've met, I'm like, they are the best fit for Biola. I'll give a plug for Bart's book, right?
Yeah.
You know, you've got to find the best fit, and that's what we want for them. And so the tour is not about selling the university. It is sharing the stories of our faculty and the difference they're making in the world, with our own students, with people that have chosen to serve here. It's not about a sales tactic. And then I always say end with something memorable. Here's another thing the Savannah Bananas do. I've not been to one of their games, but through talking to our graduates, they end with a big dance, and they give banana moon pies. Everybody, banana moon pies. And I mean, who's going to forget that?
Right.
I mean, that's definitely for this Generation X. Moon pies were part of me growing up, and so they're making a connection not related to baseball at all. They're dancing around, and they're sharing banana moon pies. So what could you at your university do that's unique to you and your mission? How could you end that campus visit with something, you know, that's going to be a memory for them,
right,
that they're going to remember even 5 years when they're, 4 years, hopefully, when they're graduating? So I like to bookend events, the welcome event that we have on our campus and our commencement. Those are two of the largest events that we have on our campus, and we put a lot of time and energy into those events, because just like in your life where you have these peak moments of remembering, a wedding, the birth of a child, you have that in your college experience also. And so we like to put a lot of our time and energy into those key peak events for students. And both of them are remarkable here at Biola, and it's something that I think that students will always remember.
I love that, and I think as we close, I just want to kind of think about it. I'm reflecting on this, and it's not that you're building brand awareness, and what Tracey's talked about. A lot of us are always talking about brand. We're talking about brand awareness, brand guidelines, all those things. But what you're doing at Biola is you're shaping brand belief. Because what's happening is people are listening and experiencing and tasting and doing all the other parts that we've talked about, and they're walking away with a belief saying, yes, I believe what their brand promise is. Yes. And I think that is where the emotion comes in. That's where I think about Dale Carnegie's quote, the person's name to that person is the sweetest and most important sound in any language, from winning friends and influencing people. By doing that, of seeing students, of seeing families, of recognizing them just with a sign at the parking spot or a name on a screen when you come in, and remembering their name, greeting them by name, those are the parts that's going to build the belief. Because we all know that statistics show you get a student on campus, there's a better chance you're going to recruit them. Yeah. But let's talk beyond recruiting them, because we go back to what we talked about with Mission Fit Student. That Mission Fit Student is the one that's going to recruit, that's going to enroll, they're going to become those brand ambassadors, they're going to go out and graduate, they're going to retain, they're going to become your ambassadors in life. Yep. That's what I think this idea of eventful branding, the idea of having brand belief is really going to do for you. So Tracey, it's been such a great conversation today. Thank you so much for being on the call.
Oh, thank y'all for having me. It's been a delight. We need to get you on campus, Troy. You need to experience Biola.
I promise you won't have to invite me twice. With In-N-Out Burger very prominent on your campus. And you mentioned two of my favorite things, moon pies and dancing. I am there. So again, everyone.
Yes, we will get you to In-N-Out. That is not a problem.
Everyone, we have been talking to Tracey M. Harrison. She is the Vice President of Communications and Brand Marketing at Biola University. And Tracey, how can someone reach you if they are compelled to do so after hearing all the wonderful advice you've given today?
Well, I'm terrible at LinkedIn. I'm on it. You can reach me that way, but I'm not very good at responding. So the best way to reach me is email, which is how you spell my name is Tracey, Tracey .Harrison @biola.edu. So that's the best way to reach me. I am on LinkedIn and certainly wanting to connect with you that way. I'm just not very good at it. And so happy to feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and happy to help you. I do want to just quickly, one quote, because I have to share it. It's my favorite quote ever.
Please.
Is Dr. Maya Angelou. So people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Yep.
And so we live by that here, because I just, I'm going to remember this experience. I'll forget some things we said today, but I'm going to remember how both of you made me feel. So thank you so much for your hospitality, and know that you have a big fan of the Higher Ed Marketer podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to get to know you today. Bart, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share before we close the episode?
Usually I have this, monologue that I give, but I'm just going to do a mic drop, because I think that what Tracey ended there with that quote was just so good. And this was such a rich conversation. If anything, I would encourage people to go back and listen to it again. I think there's some really good nuggets that any school can walk away with, being able to move a brick, being able to do something much more impactful just by listening to some of the things. And we're not talking about big budgets. We're not talking about going to have to get some approval from the board or from the president. These are things that you can do just because you care for your prospective students and your faculty, your whomever is going to be in an event or in attendance to something. So again, just what a wonderful conversation, and I'll just leave it at that.
Bart, as usual, well said. To our audience, thank you for joining us for another episode of The Higher Ed Marketer. If you found our conversation helpful, please share with a colleague and follow us on LinkedIn at The Higher Ed Marketer. The podcast is brought to you by Kaler Solutions, your trusted partner in higher ed branding, enrollment strategy, and mission fit marketing. We will look forward to seeing you next week with another great guest.
The Higher Ed Marketer podcast is proud to be a part of the Higher Ed Marketer podcast network. Discover even more conversations, resources, and tools to help you grow your institution at thehigheredmarketer.com, your go-to community for all things higher ed marketing and leadership.